meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Wait, my computer back up. Maybe. Okay, we need to approve the agenda. Need a motion, please.
Move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We need to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Audience delegations.
We did not have any.
Okay. Partner organization, Harrisonville Public School Foundation.
The newsletter that I'll give.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, got enough?
Yep.
I can't read.
I'll share it with you.
Are you okay if I take my mask off, or do I need to leave it on? Is it okay? All right, thank you. Well, I'm Susan Holden. I'm the president of the Public School Foundation. Thank you for inviting us here to kind of update you on the foundation and what we're doing. We have some fundraisers I'd like to share with you. We have our annual golf tournament, which is coming up this Friday. For the first time since I've been on the foundation, as far as I know, we are full of teams, and so that was a really great thing. So that's this Friday. We normally have the 5K walk run, and a couple of years ago we started the alumni tailgate party at the football game. Those, however, are both canceled for this year. Major Saver is one of our big fundraisers. It's done in January, and we split the profits 50-50 with the participating schools. In 2020, our total was $16,500 that we raised there. Also, employees can contribute to the foundation through the employee contribution program, and we get about $458 a month from our employees through that. Some of our programs are the teacher grant program. Teachers can apply twice a year for up to $1,000, and since we began that, we've given out nearly $105,000 for that. The Advanced Degree Teacher Reimbursement Program helps teachers seeking advanced degrees in non-administrative fields. So since 2008, we've presented nearly $35,000 for that. Another one of our programs recognizes new teachers. We give them a $100 Amazon gift card to help them set up their classrooms, and we gave out 4 this year. Each May, we present the Excellence in Academics Scholarship in the amount of $500 each. Those are presented to seniors who have been in the top 15% of their class all 4 years. We presented 24 seniors with that scholarship in 2020. And this year we began a new program in honor of Bill Mills. It's called Bill Mills Leaving a Legacy Program. And so all the 4-year recipients were able to pay it forward by designating a district program to receive a $250 mini grant. And we presented $6,000 to various programs through that initiative. We also oversee and manage many family scholarships. We presented $31,000 of those in May, this previous May. We do Educator of the Year. The 2020 Educator of the Year was Chandra Kelly. So she receives a $500 grant from the foundation, and she asked to have those funds divided between all of the finalists. Wall of Fame induction, that's usually done in the winter at the winter homecoming. This previous year we honored Stuart Reese. He graduated in 1990, and he was inducted on winter homecoming on February 14th. Our 2021 nominations are due on October 31st this year. We do district grants. One of our recent ones this year, we purchased a 10-passenger van and donated that to the district. That was $34,000, and then it was wrapped, and the wrap was donated. And we purchased lanyards for all the elementary students and staff for their masks so they wouldn't lose their masks. That was $1,500 that we donated for that. I'll just read through who the foundation trustees are. Susan Holden, I'm the president. The vice president is Alice Roach. Secretary is Trish Alexander. Treasurer is Susan Lockard. Trustees are Virginia Atkinson, Brent Carruthers, John Crowley, Christy Fisher, she is a new trustee this year, Robin Kronicki, Jeannie Middaugh, Dr. Shara Sims, Lawrence Smith, Gabe Schweitzer is a new trustee this year, Paul Minching, superintendent, and Bing Schimmelfinning, our school board representative. And we meet every month on Tuesday, 7:30 in the morning. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I'm going to clap for you, Susan.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, Susan, if you want, or however you want to do that.
Or whatever you want to do. All right. I think I'm gonna go.
Okay.
No offense.
No, not taken.
I'm sorry? Do you have another copy of that? Copy of this? You can just have this if you like it. There you go. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Thanks. All right, donation acknowledgement.
So it's my pleasure to report to the board that we have received $4,000 to be dedicated to the soccer program from an anonymous donor. We're extremely grateful for the generous donation.
Excellent. Okay, monthly information items. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
On the enrollment piece, is that, how many does that represent out of our total? Is that the 80% came to class and 20% stayed?
Well, that is our total. 2250 is our total in the left-hand column. That's our
Okay.
total in person and
Everybody wrapped
virtual.
together. I was thinking we had like 2,400 students and this was 22, so I was thinking the other.
We used to have 25. That's where we keep declining in enrollment. That trend continues, unfortunately.
So it is down then?
Yes.
I wasn't just.
Yep, we're
imagining
down.
it.
Nope,
Okay.
you're correct. We're down.
All right.
Okay, hold on. All right, the assessment and evaluation of district programs.
Kathy's gone.
I was gonna say, who gets to be
she's
Kathy
gone.
tonight?
Kathy's
you.
included her monthly budget to actual comparison numbers for revenues and expenditures for the month for your review.
Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Strategic plan update.
Well, just a few items that we'll talk about tonight. So when we talk about maintaining and updating our facilities, so we did send a letter out. I talked to the staff this week about our middle school mitigation issue with our pipe insulation. And I think there's some confusion probably about why we're doing it, when we're doing it, because the notice that we sent out is to let parents know that we are going to shut the building down from anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks while that process is ongoing, and it is not routine maintenance. It is otherwise we could do that, or even part of the typical bond issue. We could do that in the summertime when students were here, but the timing of the boiler chiller system is you want to deal with the insulation when the chiller system is off because it's condensating right now. So that condensation produces the water that's created the problem with the insulation. If you wait until the heat kicks on, where there is no condensation, then you have issues with air quality. So it has to be done either now or in the spring when the shutdown can occur. The temperatures have to be appropriate where we can shut the units down. So, it is a lengthy process. I will say the good news is, if you can say there's good news out of that, is that we had pipe fitters here on Friday, and they had a chance to look at the pipe. The integrity of the pipe was just, there were some surface rust, which is not a concern. They did some analysis of the pipe itself and different spots and determined that the pipe was fine, so we won't have to replace any pipe. It's just going to be replacement of the insulation. So
That's good.
that was good news from that. We started the fence today, so we've got the fence at McEwen is underway. We are going to, Jill's getting ready to put out a dashboard so that we can inform people about the current status of what our quarantined and isolated individuals are, both staff and students. And so, just to be clear, when we talk about those two terms, they are not. They are different terms. They are not to be used in replacement of one another. So, if a student is quarantined, they have not had a positive test. That just means that they are exposed to somebody who is positive or presumed to be positive, and they are exposed. By being exposed, that means they are within 6 feet of that person for a period of 15 minutes or longer over a 24-hour period of time. So it's not just like Tina and I are sitting close to each other for consecutive 15 minutes. I mean, I could leave, come back, and if it totals 15 minutes, it's still considered an exposure. So that's the definition of an exposure, and that's when students or staff have to be quarantined for 14 days. Isolation, and we have about, what did you say, Jason, 76 on quarantine today. Isolation, we have 6 either staff members or students who have either tested positive or presumed to be positive. So those numbers will be coming out, and we'll be updating those. Yeah, 6. So, Jason and I continue to meet with the health department. They give us a daily update on the total numbers in Cass County, but we also meet with them as a superintendent's group every Monday, just to try and provide more information. And a couple of questions that I had, my concern is I'd like some data on the people who are quarantined. What percentage of those who are quarantined who are tested come back positive? So that's probably one issue, and I continue to ask that, so we'll see if that happens. I'm not sure. One thing I am a little concerned about is they also share the numbers of each of the communities and the percentage. So our percentage is our numbers compared to Belton and Raymore are lower because we have a lower population, but if you look at the percentage, we're a little bit higher. So that's one thing that I continue to be a little bit concerned about.
Do they share the percentage of recovery?
No. Which I think at this point they assume that everybody, I mean, I won't say everybody recovers. Obviously, not everybody does recover, but I think the assumption is that most do recover. So I think that's why they stopped sharing that. They share hospitalization, but they don't share, and they share deaths, total deaths. But I guess you can look at the number of total deaths is 17 currently in Cass County. So if you look at the total number in comparison, it's far fewer. So. Other than that, that's probably our two biggest issues that we're currently battling are the middle school and how we deal with that, the timeliness of that, and then of course the continued battle with COVID-19. So,
Paul, on that, so we have 3 teachers and 3 students? Is that what you said, or
no? It's 6 total. 6 total.
Okay. So if a teacher is the one that tests positive and they're out for 14 days, do they have to have 3 negative tests in a row before they're allowed back in?
No, and they're not actually. If you test positive, you're out 10 days. If you're quarantined and exposed, you're out longer because of the incubation period for the virus. So it sounds odd, but it's actually better to be tested positive. I mean, in that sense, obviously your health is a bigger concern, but in the time frame, it's better to have that positive test because you're out 10 days versus 14 days for an exposure.
So then the teacher that would be positive could come back before the students in their
Correct.
class that were quarantined.
Correct.
Okay.
And we did have that case happen.
Have to be symptom-free for 24
Have to,
hours.
yeah, that's so. The issue is they're not tested. They don't have to have a number of tests to clear. They just have to be symptom free for 24 hours after that 10 days.
So is that what they're going to follow going forward? The
But they're
health
following
department.
as of 7:15.
You're asking me to predict that?
Crystal ball.
Where's the Magic ball? I don't. That's what we're using today, like Jason said. And yes, those metrics have changed over time.
So when they come back, when anybody comes back, is their temperature checked? Is anything
Yes,
done?
we
before
temp
they-
check every day in the morning.
Okay, for staff and
Yep,
student.
yep.
All right.
And the social distancing at all the buildings is going well?
As well, I mean, it's not perfect.
Sure,
Obviously, there's some
sure.
places where we can't, where we can't social distance. So,
But that's
but it
the
helps
purpose
a
of the
lot,
masks.
right? And
sure.
it does help a lot as Jason Jason and Tonya are our primary chasers, and I think it helps when the buildings and the administration of the buildings see that contact tracing, because they see what the effect is if you're within, so close to people, and that determines it is 6 feet. It's, as Jason says frequently, it's not 5 feet 10 inches. It's 6 feet. If you're not 6 feet, you're out. So
And are we contact tracing now?
yes.
Okay, that is official that started.
we-
Okay.
I think the masks are working well.
I was gonna say, how are the masks?
It seems
on
like
the
they're
kids?
working well.
The kids do a great job with
Yeah,
that.
they
Yeah, they're fantastic. And I did have a concern about our little kids, but I'm telling you, they're
My kids
super.
put them on from the time we get in the car.
Yep.
And I'm like, you don't have to wear
They're
that.
not forgetting them, they were,
They do.
most of them are bringing them. Good.
They do a really good job.
I'm not hearing complaints about it either. I thought for sure that we would, and the kids are handling it a lot better than the
The
adults.
adults,
are, I
yeah,
think, for
I think
sure.
so too, for sure.
That's all layers of protection. It's not to keep you from being quarantined.
Right.
So the shields, anything, does not keep you from being quarantined.
Yeah, and that
Quarantine is a layer of protection also, if you want to think about it that way.
there was a time when we were told, the health department said, if we are properly wearing our face coverings and we're within 6 feet of each other for half an hour, that even if, let's say, I was positive and Tina was exposed, then she wouldn't have to quarantine because we both had our face masks on properly. Well, they changed that. So, and that was not our health department. That was CDC that changed that. So they are following. I mean, as frustrating as it is, they're trying to follow the guidelines of the CDC. So that's who's guiding what they say, and the CDC changes what they're doing. So it's a frustrating process.
Well, when we went into this in March, I mean, everybody knew how fluid it was, and
Oh.
as they continue to learn more with it, things are going to change. And I appreciate you having a conversation with the health department every day, because I'm sure every day it's a little bit different, and that's what you have to do, is have that communication so we know what to do.
And I think the
There's-
teachers are doing a really good job too, because it has to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
struggle for
Yes.
them teaching all day long and
Yep.
then having to, yeah.
Yep.
There's 3 proximity or 3 contacts, and the biggest one you hear is 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. But there's proximity also that comes into place, which is in the same room for an extended period of time. Then you're in proximity, or on a bus for an extended period of time, you have proximity. And the other is physical contact. And so some people think, well, I was hardly with them. All we did was hug, but it wasn't for 15 minutes.
But you had
You had physical contact, so that's an automatic. And so sometimes that physical contact is what people forget, especially kids, when you're looking and talking through some, especially little kids. Knowing little kids, if you're even in this little area, you're probably physically touching each other at some point. So that's just one that people don't know all 3. They just focus on the 6 feet for 15 minutes, but you kind of got to look at the other 2 also.
I shook someone's hand the other day, and the minute I did it, I can't take it back. I don't know what to do. Here, have some hand sanitizer.
Can I ask you about the middle school mold situation? How much of a leeway will parents and students be given, and teachers, when it's time to do that 2 to 4 week closing?
So we're working with Axiom, who is the testing company. They do the air quality, and so they develop the scope of how that mitigation process is conducted, because it's not like asbestos where there's a definite way to do
Right.
it. There's a range of things.
So they're looking at temperature and weather and all that
Well,
sort
they're
of
looking
thing.
at if they fully bag it or if they can just put plastic down. It depends on
Mhm.
where the piping is, all those things, and so so they'll develop the scope,
Mhm.
and then we've been working with Newkirk and Novak to help. They've been a tremendous help in this process. They actually brought in the insulation people, and so once that scope is developed, then we will have an idea of how long, because the insulation guys are like, we don't know until we know how much protection that we have
Right.
to put up
Right.
to determine how long this is going to be.
I get that, but what I'm wondering is how long ahead of time will people know?
So as soon as that scope's developed and they have that, we'll give them. We gave them a rough estimate that it's going to be at the earliest. It'll be the last week in September. So that's the information that we sent out.
That would be the earliest.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's pretty optimistic,
Okay.
honestly.
So they just, okay. It's not going to be like tomorrow, you guys get to stay home for 3 weeks or whatever.
Right. No, it won't be tomorrow.
All right.
But that is why we sent the letter, so people are prepared. They can make their arrangements ahead of time. But no, it's gonna take us a little while.
Sure.
So I don't know, Jason. How long did Axiom? Did they give you an idea of how long?
He
before
was
the
going to try to
scopes-
get in as soon as possible.
Okay.
I mean, that started on Friday. I talked to him yesterday. They got to come in after hours to do it. So it looked like, and it was pretty extensive. It sounded like what they needed to do to develop the
Sure.
scope.
Sure.
So they were going to come after hours and or this weekend. So I'm assuming they would like to have a scope by next week. We're mid-September, and then you got to bid that and everything else. So.
And there'll be a little bit of lead time. Okay, next week we will be off. So there'll be a little bit.
I'm sure we'll come up with as much.
Well,
sooner.
people can begin to watch temperatures outside and those things to begin to get a sense of.
What's the ideal temperature that we're trying to reach here? Is there a magic number?
No.
No. Okay.
Sometimes we shut the boiler down mid-October, sometimes late October. Or the chiller down. Sorry, just kind of depends there.
And Brandon's the project manager for Newkirk and Novak. That's been working with us, and he's been down here and done a great job of organizing all this process too. So he's pushing them too. I know. So.
Okay.
And they'll just virtually, the whole building will go on virtual learning. Is that the plan? Okay.
There'll be some student populations who we'll send to the high school that we feel like have to be in school. And I know we sent, or getting ready to send, thank you, Jill, getting ready to send a questionnaire to parents to see what kind of internet connectivity they have, or if they have other special needs. And we are exploring other options if we might be able to find another location that we can go to for a smaller group of students and use that temporarily. So we're trying all possibilities at this point. So we're exploring all possibilities. That's it. That's all I got
Okay.
for today.
For today. Ever changing, isn't it?
It changes every day.
All right. Scoreboard advertisement. We need a motion.
You want me to talk about it first?
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've had a couple of the advertisers come to Brent and I talk about the scoreboard advertising because of the limited number of people, and they don't know. Quite frankly, they're concerned about how long we will be able to continue having contests. There are some concerns from them regarding the scoreboard advertising. So Brent and I had the conversation about giving them a stay for a year, which they would just extend for another year their agreements with us. But considering the circumstances and our concerns, we have some really good partners. I know the hospital is one, and that's one that approached me in particular, and so it would be my recommendation that we stay those contracts for a year.
And is it going to be on an individual basis? They're not all due July 1st. So if we do a year, they're going to be staggered based on their contract, right? It's not as
No, we try to start them all.
But we do have some
Yeah,
years, some 2, some 5.
Yeah, that's a
some-
weird.
That's what I was
It's a
trying to
weird
get at.
deal. Yes, but yes.
We tried in the beginning to make it a little less all over the place with that, but to get people to purchase the advertisement, you kind of had to be a little more flexible.
But they all go into effect the same month, correct?
Yes. that's
Yeah, it's like
that's
all
what I
the
was getting
billing
to.
is all the
Yes.
same time now.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Yeah,
So this would just be for 1 year.
correct.
beginning
Just tack it on at the end, right?
in July. When,
Yeah, July,
Okay.
July to June 30th. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Can we get a motion?
I move to waive the 2020-2021 scoreboard advertising fees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
Sorry.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure, whether we were good on that. All right, business services, construction manager at risk contract.
No.
So that I've got John and Lynn here that to answer your questions. I know Nancy had some questions about the contract, just for your information. So the contract has actually gone forth back and forth between Lynn and I, and then we had Rachel Meistat from Dwayne's law firm look at it, and so we've been on the phone several times, and so we've negotiated some different things, but I know Nancy had some questions, so I'll let these guys talk and answer those questions.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Is it okay if we pull down, or would you like those? It's okay. All right. Cool. Hello, Ward.
Hello.
We're excited.
Yeah, we are.
Would you like me to just kind of go through the questions and answer those as we go? Okay. So these are good questions. I'm glad that you're asking those. So there's two parts to the agreement, the standard agreements that we have with school districts. There's a A133 document, which is basically the agreement, and then there's a document called the A201, which is general conditions to this document. So this document has all the terms, and this document has all the general terms to the agreement. And so the first question is, on the A133, there are addresses that are stated for the architect, the construction manager, and the district. And you're correct that the district name is in there, but the address is incorrect, so that should be changed. Boom. Good job.
One for Nancy.
I think we did that. We made that mistake. We duplicated the architect's
Not
address.
competitive. I'm just
Did a lot of squirrel. Let me get one.
Can't see her smile
Nancy.
behind the mask.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, section 1.1 through 1.1.4 lists nothing. Shouldn't this part of the document have something listed? So what that is describing is the pre-construction phase for the project. So before the project starts, the architect is going to go through and have different phases of their documents. Those phases aren't defined yet.
okay.
So we could have language in here that what it does say is the owner's anticipating design and construction milestone dates will, and then the attorney put in there, will be developed during the pre-construction phase with owner approval.
Okay.
So that's coming, but it isn't defined yet, and I think that she's trying to cover that language there, if that's okay, Nancy.
That's fine. I didn't know if there would be any projects listed or some kind of time frame or something, or to be determined, or
Well, I think and we certainly could try to create a schedule for issuance of this. I don't think there's a risk for you either way, by defining it or not defining it.
okay.
Or us either. I think one thing that might be difficult is the work that's going to occur, not the quick work, but the work that might be down road, defining when those documents will be developed. So I would leave that as is, if it were me. Section 1.1.14 asks for subcontractor procurement information. I think this would be a good place to put local vendors if possible. Okay.
And I know it addresses it a couple numbers It does say that.
Yep.
But I didn't know if it needed to be stated in this section also, since it talks about subcontractors.
Okay, so on the numbering, 1.1.14, is that where you intended? Because I don't see a 1.1. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Okay, could certainly do that, and I think it's important for us to understand what the requirements are.
Right.
But later in the, and so if you want to state something there, I think we're fine with that language. I think the only cautionary item I would say is it should not be go so far as to create anything that would be unfair or anything
Right.
else to other, because you're a public
I
entity.
don't want it to be too limiting, but I didn't
Right.
know if it needed to be mentioned more than once in this document.
I think we're fine adding that language if it's important to the board.
I don't know, I'm just bringing it up because that was a
Yeah.
concern.
Let's go down to the other question that you have, because we can see if this might satisfy
Yeah.
you and the board. Okay, so the next item, 3.1.11.1, subcontractors, again, some sort of reference to using local subs. So in that section, it does not, again, state anything about local. The next article, 3.1.11.2, says this: the construction manager shall develop bidder's interest in the project, including obtaining bids from local subcontractors for all work. If construction manager intends to perform or desires to perform any portions of the work, and that goes on to the next question that Nancy had. But the first sentence there does say, including obtaining bids from local contractors for all work.
Yes.
In the prior article that she referenced, let me read that, and then I'll propose some added language that might get us past that. If the owners have provided requirements for subcontractor procurement in section 1.1.14, the construction manager shall provide a subcontracting plan addressing the owner's requirements for the owner's review and approval. So in developing that plan, you guys do have review and approval rights to that plan, and if we excluded all the local folks, you would raise that issue.
Right.
So I think you're covered there.
Okay.
But if you
so
want,
you're going to have a plan.
yeah, we'll develop a bidder's list and a bidder's approach
Okay.
that during our pre-construction phase we'll be sharing with the members of the team that are part of the project for us, and then they'll help us direct us to either add or take away from that list.
Okay. And we'll see that list and everything. Oh,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
call us.
We will want you to approve that list so that we don't bid the work to somebody that the district in the past has had an issue with,
Right.
and then have
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So now I think we're down to 5.1.3. Our question is, are bid packages a part of the pre-construction phase services? And the answer is not normally. So those bid packages get developed pretty much at the time that the complete documents are done. So we end pre-construction when the construction documents are completed. Okay, and then
Okay.
construction starts
Okay.
from that line forward.
I was just curious because I didn't see where it referenced what was part of the pre-construction, what all was done in the pre-construction phase. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if the bidding was part of that or not.
It's really, it's a gray line, I would say.
Okay.
Some construction managers might include it. I would say that's part of the construction piece.
Okay. But wait a minute, you skipped one.
Okay. Okay, the second sentence should be, okay, so now the question is, in 3.1.11.2, I think the second sentence should be deleted entirely since we are sure that NN doesn't self-perform.
Yes.
So that sentence says, if construction manager intends to perform or desires to perform any portions of the work, construction manager shall submit a bid in the same form and containing the same information required by all other bidders for such work to owner at least 1 day prior to the deadline specified for bidders to submit bids. So what that's trying to do is protect the integrity of the bidding process. And Nancy's right, we don't intend to self-perform any work. And so when we say self-perform, let's say that there's going to be a concrete package on the job. We're going to bid it to all the concrete guys in town and locally and not locally. And we also wanted to self-perform that work. What this says is we would have to submit that bid 1 day prior to everybody else, and we would submit it to you, and then all the other bids would come in. We would never see those bids ahead of our own bids, so we wouldn't have any chance to have a conflict of interest. I think leaving this protects you
That's what
in
I
here.
talked to Rachel about that too. She said the same thing.
Really?
But
We don't intend to, but it protects you, and it's, as Lynn said, it's an integrity issue, so people, if you're handing in bids to us for the same scope and we're intending to self-perform it, somebody could think that that would
Sure.
not be fair.
I think we could, if you wanted to add some language to get comfortable, we could add something, but
I was just basing it on discussions
yep,
during
yep,
the interview
very
process.
fair. We're not planning to change the conversation we had. There's no intent to self-perform. We believe what we said is the right way for you guys to go, and so.
At that point, we can say no anyways. We always have the right to say no.
You could always say, yeah, NNCP's not doing that, and
Okay,
we'd be
if you
fine
guys
with
are
that.
comfortable with it, I'm just bringing these things
Yeah,
up.
these are good questions,
Would
Nancy.
it be a situation if you didn't get bids?
I'm sorry?
Would it be a situation if you didn't get bids that you then may have to back up and?
I think we would then go back out to bid and resolicit specific packages if we didn't get the coverage we wanted.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. 6.1.5?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so 6.1.5 deals with rental rates and rental equipment that the construction manager may provide to the job. And so the question is such as question mark. So like what kinds of equipment might we provide? These are not major pieces of equipment. These would be things like drills, saws, fans, things that that those tools would be used for general items, primarily to make the job safe. So oftentimes we do perform work that can't be assigned to a trade partner. Okay, so let's say that I'm just going to give an example. We're putting up rails to protect a leading edge that somebody might fall off of, and through the course of the job, those rails get taken down and put up and taken down by trade partners, and we want to make sure that those are always up and maintained. So we'll have tools and equipment like that on the job. This will not be a significant part of the job, but as we buy tools and we wear those tools out, they get charged to the job, and we just rent those out to the project. That's kind of a construction industry
That's
approach.
fine. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure you guys weren't like renting Bobcats or something for the job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there may be a Bobcat that gets rented for the job. I mean, that is a possibility. I wouldn't want you to walk on the job and see a Bobcat and go, "Oh, what's going on there?" Because we might do that. But that would be here's the way we could buy that work. And we're always going to be thinking about your dollars first, right? So we could either rent that Bobcat and run it ourselves, or we could rent that Bobcat from a subcontractor, or have a subcontractor provide that labor, right? So we're going to do whatever's the least expensive for you guys. If they have a Bobcat on the job that they're using for other things, we're not going to go rent a separate one. We're going to use that one for 2 hours and not have a delivery charge and all those sorts of things happen.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. 7.7.3, could an example be given? So let me give you some context on what that item is. I'll try to quit hitting the mic here. I'll learn that toward the end. 7.7.3. Okay, so this is in a section of the contract that is dealing with costs that are to be reimbursed. There's costs to be reimbursed. There's costs that we're not allowed to charge you for. Okay, everything's very well defined. So in 7.7.3, this is in a section titled Other Cost and Emergency. So these are things that aren't covered by any other section here, and this is in, again, to be reimbursed. This article says, cost of repairing or correcting damaged or non-conforming work executed by the construction manager, subcontractors, or suppliers, provided that such damage or non-conforming work was not caused by the negligence of or failure of to fulfill a specific responsibility by the construction manager, and only to the extent that the cost of repairs or corrections is not covered by a construction manager from insurance, sureties, subcontractors, suppliers, or others. And Nancy's looking for an example. So I think the key sentence here is, so it's saying that we're going to be allowed to be reimbursed for repairs or correcting damage or for non-conforming work that's been executed. Okay, so I can only give you examples of things that are repairing or correcting damage. I don't know of an example where something's been put in incorrectly, non-conforming, and then we would allow the subcontractor, the trade partner, to then bill to correct it because somebody didn't do it right the first time.
Exactly.
So
And
we're
this
going
was
to make
so
them
difficult for me to process
Yeah.
That's why I was going to ask for an example, because it says it's non-conforming or damaged, and yet we're going to have to pay for it, is
Yeah.
the way I'm reading this.
So if it's, let me give you an example of damaged or something that needs repaired, and this is just going to occur because it's construction. So we install the door. Somebody goes through the door and they catch it with a hammer and it puts a scratch in the door, and we can't fix it well enough so it looks like a new door. So we replace that door. But I have no idea who did it. Okay? So if I know who did it, if I saw the guy do it, or one of my folks saw the guy who did it, and we would then say, okay, that's a $500 door. We're going to deduct that from your
Right.
contract, and we're going to buy that door again for the owner. Okay? So that's a damaged or repair cost that if we can assign it, we will. But if we can't, you still are owed a new door, and we're going to have to pay for that somehow. So that we would have a contingency set aside for those kinds of items. It's not going to increase your contract amount or my contract amount, but we're going to pay for it. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nancy.
No, I was just going to say, that was what I was trying to determine in this paragraph, who is bearing the cost of this? Because to me, it contradicts itself. This paragraph does.
Okay.
That we would be responsible for it.
You would be responsible for it if we can't assign the damage to a trade partner.
Okay.
And when
So
I
was
say,
reading it.
huh?
So I was reading it that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is true. So there's
There's
the
a hammer mark on the door and you have no idea who put it on there, we pay for that.
yeah.
But if I know that I saw him do it, he pays for it.
That's right. That's right. And there will be, this will happen. I mean, there's going to be something that happens during the course of the
Right.
job that we can't assign to
And
a
is
trade
there
partner.
some sort of budget allowance for these kinds of things?
We will
Okay.
anticipate this up front, and we'll have money set aside for it. So we're not, and this doesn't say that we have the right to increase the contract amount. We don't get to come to you for a change order for it. We have to cover it within our overall GMP.
Okay.
But I'm telling you that I'm going to have a budget set aside, and we may assign some of that budget to this type of item.
Gotcha.
And when we bill you, when you see our billings, we're going to be very transparent. You may see replaced door came out of a contingency fund
Okay.
because we couldn't assign it.
Okay.
And then non-conform, that would be something that was built prior to any construction done, so.
This is the one I can't give you a great example of where we would be allowed to bill you for or have a cost incurred that you would see come out of a contingency line item. That one word.
Doesn't
Yeah,
it
if
just
you ask
mean
me
it
for an
doesn't meet
example.
standards or something?
What's that?
Non-conforming, it's not meeting standards?
It's not meeting standard. It's not as it was designed by the architect, or they didn't use the right, materials or something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Section 11.1.8.11. The CM fee is not subject to the 5% retainage. Question. Why is that? Good question. So everybody knows. Good question, Nancy.
Thanks.
So everybody knows there's a retainage that's held out of every billing that we provide you. So that's part of the contract documents, and I think it's 5% in Missouri by law is the maximum that can be held, and so that's what you're holding. So retainage is required by the owner so that you have a lever to make sure that the work gets completed on time and within the budget, and that if there's any non-conforming work, you have 5% of the overall contract that you can hold until that work is corrected. So that's your hammer on us and our hammer on the subcontractors, actually. Sometimes the contract is negotiated so that 5% is not held on the construction manager at all. We're allowing it to be held on all of our construction management services, and the fee, but we do get our fee with each billing. Okay, I wouldn't die on the sword here for that clause, but it's not atypical to have it be that way either. Most of our
I don't
agreements.
know, because I've not
Yeah.
done, I'm
Yeah.
just curious how that works. I mean, I believe you guys will do a wonderful job and you'll earn your money and
Yeah.
we won't have a problem with paying you. I was just surprised that you were exempt from the 5% thing.
So we're exempt only on our fee. So don't confuse. So all the work that we put into the job. Let me say this correctly. Our fee is 1.95, I think, for this job. Okay, so 1.95. So, but our general conditions which are, let's say that our general conditions are 7%. That's our superintendent, our project manager, our equipment rental, everything it takes for us to manage the project. Okay, and then on top of that, we get 1.95%. Okay, so you're only not holding retainage on that 1.95%, which overall is a small percentage of our overall agreement.
Okay.
You're getting the big chunk of retainage, so you have a pretty good lever on us.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you do.
That's
You do.
fine.
You're not giving anything away, and Rachel has been pretty diligent about this agreement. In fact, I'll give you something that will make you comfortable. Paul was probably an instigator on this. In this contract, you've negotiated in liquidated damages, okay, which was not part of the original proposal,
Good
which we didn't
job.
anticipate. But yeah, you have those in here,
They're not
and it's
too
$1,000 a day.
$1 a day, I
They're
saw
not
that.
terrible, Lynn. Come on.
Paul drove a hard bargain
You
here.
didn't tell me this.
I know. My business partner doesn't know.
Ah!
But I mean, it's yeah. So you've got a good agreement here on that front. Can move on.
Okay.
Good.
And Paul answered the last one,
12.1.2.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, and then, where can we put that 2-year warranty,
Yeah.
statement?
Normally we would add that. So because this is a $0 contract right now, there's no dollars in here except the terms are here.
Right.
So as soon as we bid a package, we will add via amendment that 2-year warranty as part of that amendment language. So we're going to have multiple amendments to this that will incorporate and add the work to it. I think the
Oh,
appropriate
okay.
time to do that is when we add the work to the contract.
So it'll be specific to the work done, and then you'll add the 2-year warranty on that?
Be the same, yeah, specific to the work that we're doing with each
Okay.
work package.
Okay,
That make sense?
yes,
Yep.
yep.
And then you did ask about a signature page on the A201.
Yes.
And the AIA document
Doesn't have it?
it. I've had owners add it, but it's not necessary. It's referenced. The one document references the other.
Okay,
And if they're dated the same, it's all good.
thank you.
That was the last question.
Excellent questions, Nancy. Good job.
We knew that this would be read.
Last time we were answering questions for the architect, so we knew that they were coming. we knew what was happening, so.
So,
I
They were
just
good.
have questions all the
good.
time.
yeah.
Thank you for
Yep,
answering.
you bet.
Could I get a follow-up on 3.1.11.2 where it says you'll get bids from local contractors at work? Do we need to define what local is? Because somebody that's Kansas City, but to us it's Harrisonville and Cass County. So do we need to put what is the priority local
Yeah.
first?
The definition.
Yep, you can, but honestly, for us, you still have the approval rights of the bidding process and who we go out to bid to. So through that review process, and as we develop that bidding plan, that's the document allows you to have that kind of authority. So you have that, and you can define it now or you cannot. I don't think it matters in the agreement because you ultimately have the review approval of the bidding process. That makes sense? So you're
I
welcome
just
to.
wanted to make sure what
Yeah.
local meant to people was different.
Well, I think local to us, we know what local means, and we're the ones approving the bottom line when it comes in. So if there's not there's not local people on there, we'll say, what about so and so? Or, I mean, I trust these guys to really reach out. They're very thorough, very thorough.
Yeah, thank you. We're fine either way, though. It really will make no difference to us. So whatever the board is pleased to do. Yeah.
I'm comfortable with I mean, again, we know who's local. We have the final decision making, so I'm comfortable with that. In my opinion, I don't think we need to spell it out.
If you get too restrictive, sometimes that limits you
Yep.
in the long run from what you're wanting to do also.
Well, and that's why I said, priority Harrisonville, move out to Cass County, third Kansas City area. I mean,
Well, actually, the priority is
bullseye
who does the
radio.
best job. That's the priority for the
For the
amount
best
of
money.
money that, I mean-
Bottom line, that's it, whether it's local or not.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we want local to do it, but ultimately, we have been entrusted with patrons of the district with a set amount of money.
And there, yeah, just and your attorney can counsel you better than me, but I would be careful about stating preferences in a public document, so
Yeah.
that,
That's
somebody might come back and challenge that. So I think if we know what you want, we can make sure that we're including and being inclusive of those folks, and you'll have certain folks who you want us to make sure that we talk to, and we will.
And we've started that process locally, with the chamber and all that, making sure we're starting to make sure the local presence is also aware. Because in those conversations we've had, it's important for people to know it's coming, know what they need to do. At the end of the day, there might be somebody local that you like and they're saying, hey, I can't. I'm too busy, or it doesn't make sense for me. I don't have the bonding capacity. Whatever the reason is, but they know, but if they don't know about it and they felt like they were excluded, as we talked today, that's what we don't want to have. We want to make sure it's an inclusive process, and then back to your point, we're getting, for the patrons and and the students and everybody, we're getting, the best buy and the best quality and all that goes into play.
So you've already started building that list, if you will, of.
Yeah, we have a list, but then some of it is having meetings for local contractors to make sure they know what they need to do, timing, all of that.
How to connect with us.
How to connect with us, questions and all of that. So I appreciate, this. It's early on for that, but it's never too early for anything to do the
And
right thing.
this is not atypical, these kind of thoughts for us and this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
So we're first in that. Like it.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
Yep.
Did we make a motion?
Oh, that's right, need a motion. Gosh darn it, I'm not gonna get used to this change.
Is this a roll call or just, okay?
Move to approve the contract for construction manager at-risk services as presented.
I think we probably need to change that to as amended
As amended, 'cause
Okay.
with the changes that were discussed
Did we
tonight.
make any changes? Oh, just the cover page,
Yeah.
as amended.
Okay, so I move to approve the contracts for construction manager at risk services as amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, who actually made the motion?
We both did, but give it
I
to Bing
marked
and I'll
Bing.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, guys.